The Galactic Empire had been watching Earth for months. A small alien research team, made up of curious beings from different parts of the galaxy, had arrived on Earth to learn about the humans and their technology. They were sent by the Galactic Council, who had heard rumors of the planet's strange behavior. But as they studied Earth, they discovered something they never expected. Humans seemed to communicate with animals, and not just in a simple way, but almost like they were speaking the same language. It all started on a quiet morning when the alien team landed in a small farming town in the middle of nowhere. They were hidden in the woods, far away from the humans, observing everything through special equipment. They watched as a human woman stood in front of her house, calling out to a dog. At first, it seemed like a simple act, just a human giving a command to the dog. But then something strange happened. The dog ran to the woman, wagging its tail, and followed her without hesitation. It wasn't like any normal pet-owner relationship the aliens had seen before. This looked different. There was a deep understanding between them. Intrigued, the aliens decided to watch more. Over the next few days, they observed humans interacting with all kinds of animals: dogs, cats, birds, even horses and cows. The humans seemed to understand the animals' needs without any effort. The animals, in turn, appeared to trust the humans, responding to their calls or actions without fear or hesitation. There were no complicated tools or devices involved. No gadgets. No machines. It was just the humans and the animals, communicating in a way that seemed completely natural to them. The alien team was confused. They had never seen anything like it. Back in their home galaxy, communication with animals was nearly impossible. Most species only communicated through basic signals or sounds, and they only understood each other in very limited ways. But here, on Earth, humans seemed to be speaking a language that both they and the animals could understand. This was not just about words, it was something deeper. It was as if the humans could feel what the animals were thinking, and the animals could sense the humans' intentions. The leader of the alien team, a sharp-minded scientist named Zorath, decided to investigate further. They were equipped with advanced technology, but none of it seemed to help them understand this mysterious human-animal connection. Zorath had tried to communicate with animals before, but it had never worked. Now, watching the humans, she was starting to realize something big. It wasn't about technology or tools. It was about a unique bond, something the humans shared with the animals. She made a note of this, thinking it might explain more about humans than their technology ever could. The team began recording every interaction they could find. They watched humans with their pets, humans working with farm animals, even people helping wild creatures in nature. In one instance, they saw a human man crouch down to help a wounded bird, speaking to it in soft, gentle tones. The bird didn't fly away. It stayed there, calm, as if it trusted the human. This wasn't the kind of behavior the alien team expected from animals. They were used to creatures fleeing from anything they didn't understand. But here on Earth, it was different. The aliens began to wonder, was this truly just a coincidence, or was there something special about the way humans interacted with animals? Were the humans using some kind of technology that allowed them to communicate with animals, or was it something more mysterious? Zorath couldn't help but feel a growing sense of wonder and confusion. She realized that the answer wasn't going to be easy, and it might change everything they knew about humanity. They had thought Earth would be a planet of simple, primitive creatures. But now, the aliens were starting to see that humans were far more complex and fascinating than they had ever imagined. This was only the beginning, and Zorath couldn't wait to learn more. The alien team couldn't stop thinking about what they had witnessed. The more they observed, the more they realized there was something extraordinary about how humans interacted with animals. This wasn't just about calling a dog or feeding a cat. Humans seemed to communicate with animals in a way the aliens couldn't understand. It was like a secret language, one that didn't need words. Zorath, the lead scientist, gathered her team. She was eager to understand what was going on, but the more they tried, the more confused they became. The technology they had brought with them, which had worked perfectly on other planets, didn't seem to help. Their devices could analyze sounds and vibrations, but they couldn't make sense of the signals between humans and animals. They had seen that animals responded to humans in ways that didn't fit any patterns they knew. There were no special tools involved, no technology at all, just the humans and the animals connecting in ways that were far beyond anything the aliens could understand. The team watched a human man sit in a park, surrounded by a group of pigeons. At first, the pigeons fluttered around him, unsure of what to do. But then, the man slowly extended his hand. Instead of flying away, the pigeons moved closer, pecking at the ground around his feet. He smiled softly, and the birds stayed close, calm and trusting. The aliens were stunned. The man didn't use any devices to communicate with the pigeons, yet they were responding to him as if they understood him. How was this possible? The team had to figure it out. Zorath had an idea. If they couldn't use their advanced technology to understand this connection, maybe they could try something different. She suggested they spend some time observing humans with animals in more natural settings, places where there were no distractions and no technology involved. The team agreed and decided to head to a small rural village, far from the busy cities. The village was quiet, and the air was filled with the sounds of animals, birds chirping, cows mooing, and dogs barking in the distance. As the aliens observed, they saw humans interacting with their animals in peaceful ways. A farmer walked through the fields with his sheep, guiding them gently with nothing but his presence. He didn't need to speak loudly or give orders. The sheep simply followed as if they trusted him completely. Another human, a woman, was sitting with her dog on a porch. The dog was lying at her feet, its eyes closed in relaxation, while the woman hummed a soft tune. The bond between them was clear. It wasn't about words or commands. It was about a deep understanding between the two. The aliens were starting to get it. Humans didn't need to speak in the same way they did to communicate with animals. The connection wasn't in the words, but in something much deeper, something the aliens couldn't quite explain. It was almost as if humans could feel what the animals needed. They didn't just train the animals or give orders. They shared a kind of silent understanding, a bond built on trust and empathy. The animals, in turn, seemed to understand that humans were there to care for them, to protect them, and to communicate with them without the need for complicated language. One alien, Torma, suggested that maybe it wasn't about intelligence or technology at all. Maybe this was about something more powerful, a connection that went beyond the physical world. Zorath thought about it. Could humans have a unique ability to communicate with creatures on a deeper level? Perhaps their emotions and intentions played a big role in how animals understood them. The alien team was beginning to realize that they had underestimated humanity. They had come to Earth thinking they would find primitive creatures who could barely understand each other, but instead they found something extraordinary. Humans weren't just talking to animals. They were connecting with them in ways the aliens couldn't replicate. And it was clear that this connection was not just about training animals. It was something far more complex and beautiful, a form of communication beyond words. As the team continued to watch, they knew they were witnessing something incredible. This discovery could change everything they thought they knew about communication and the relationship between species. The aliens were no longer just observers. They were becoming part of something bigger, a mystery that only humans could unravel. But one thing was certain. They would never look at Earth, or its creatures, the same way again. The alien team was now deeply intrigued. They had been observing humans for weeks, and each day revealed more about this mysterious bond between humans and animals. The team had come to understand that humans weren't simply using words to communicate with animals. They were sharing a deeper connection, one built on trust and respect. But there was still something puzzling about it. If humans could form such a close bond with animals, why couldn't the aliens do the same? Zorath, the team leader, decided it was time for a more direct experiment. They had seen enough from a distance. The team would try interacting with animals themselves, using the methods they had observed in humans. They wanted to see if they could replicate what the humans were doing and understand how these animals truly responded. It was risky, but Zorath felt they had no other choice. The team chose a location just outside a small village in a forest. It was a peaceful spot, where animals were often seen wandering. As they set up, the team could hear the soft rustle of leaves and the distant calls of birds. The air was fresh and the sun filtered through the trees. But unlike the humans they had watched, the aliens felt uneasy. They weren't sure how to begin. Torma, one of the aliens, took the first step. She had seen humans approach animals slowly, with care and patience. She tried to do the same, stepping cautiously towards a small group of deer grazing nearby. She held out her hand, just as she had seen a human do with a dog earlier. The deer looked up, their eyes wide with curiosity. But then they did something unexpected. They quickly backed away, keeping their distance. Torma froze. She realized that the deer weren't scared of her. They just didn't trust her yet. The connection she had hoped for didn't come. Zorath watched closely, taking mental notes. It was clear that the aliens were missing something crucial. They weren't getting the same response from the animals as the humans did. The animals weren't afraid, but they weren't accepting the aliens either. It was as if they knew the aliens weren't yet worthy of their trust. There was something missing in the way they approached the animals. It wasn't enough to simply be calm and patient. Something more was needed, something humans seemed to have that the aliens didn't. Zorath knew they needed a new approach. She had seen humans interact with animals by speaking gently, but it wasn't just the words. It was the tone, the calm energy, the respect they showed. Humans communicated with animals not by demanding or commanding, but by offering kindness and understanding. The animals responded to the energy they gave off, to the respect shown through their actions, not just through words. The team decided to try again, but this time they would approach with a new mindset, one of respect. Zorath walked toward the deer, but instead of trying to make them approach her, she simply sat down quietly on a rock and waited. She didn't move, didn't try to force a connection. She just sat there watching the deer with calm eyes, showing them she wasn't a threat. Minutes passed, and the deer slowly came closer. One by one, they began to approach her, drawn by her stillness and patience. They sniffed the air, then cautiously moved closer, their soft eyes studying her. Zorath didn't move or make a sound. She just let the animals decide how much they wanted to trust her. Slowly, one of the deer came up to her and nudged her hand. Zorath smiled gently. She had done it. She had gained their trust not through force or technology, but through respect. The rest of the team watched in awe. They had never seen anything like this before. The aliens were used to commanding respect through power, not patience. But now they understood. Humans didn't dominate animals. They respected them. They didn't force trust, but built it over time, showing the animals they were worthy of it. This was a language the aliens hadn't known, one of quiet strength, patience, and deep respect. It was then that Zorath realized the true power of humans. It wasn't in their technology or their abilities. It was in their way of understanding the world around them. Humans didn't need to conquer animals or force their will. They simply respected them, and in return, the animals trusted them. This was the language beyond words. It was the language of respect. The aliens now felt a shift in their understanding of humanity. They had arrived on Earth expecting to find a primitive species, one that relied on weapons and machines to survive. But instead, they had discovered something far more profound. A species that understood the importance of living in harmony with the world, a species that communicated not through dominance, but through mutual respect. And that, Zorath thought, was the true strength of humanity. After weeks of careful observation, the alien team was finally ready to present their findings. Zorath, the lead scientist, felt both excited and nervous. They had witnessed something extraordinary on Earth, something no one had ever truly understood before. Humans shared a unique bond with animals, one that went far beyond simple communication. It was a language, but not in the way the aliens had thought. It was a language of trust, respect, and understanding. Now, Zorath had to convince her superiors back on the alien ship that this was the most important discovery they had ever made. The team gathered in the observation room, a place where they could communicate with their home planet. Zorath stood at the front, facing the holographic projection screen. The room was quiet, and the alien's attention was focused on her. She began speaking, her voice calm but full of passion. "We have spent weeks observing humans and their relationship with animals. What we have discovered is beyond our understanding, and it will change everything we know about communication," Zorath began. "At first, we thought humans were using simple commands and training techniques to control animals. But the more we watched, the more we realized this wasn't the case. Humans aren't just telling animals what to do, they are communicating with them on a much deeper level." The team listened carefully, their eyes fixed on Zorath as she continued. "Humans share a bond with animals that cannot be explained by any technology we have. This is not about intelligence and it's not about force. It's about a language of respect. Humans communicate with animals through their energy, their emotions, and their actions. They don't dominate or control, they connect. They show patience, kindness, and understanding. Zorath paused, allowing her words to sink in. She could tell that some of her team members were still skeptical. They were used to thinking of communication in terms of signals and data, not feelings and trust. But Zorath was sure of what she had seen. "I will show you the evidence," she said, pressing a button on the console. The screen flickered to life, and the room filled with images of humans interacting with animals. The first video showed a man and a dog. The dog was sitting beside him, its tail wagging happily. The man wasn't speaking. He simply petted the dog gently, and the animal seemed to respond, its body relaxing under his touch. It was clear that the dog trusted him, not because of words, but because of the man's calm energy and his respectful manner. Next, the screen showed a woman sitting with a horse. The horse was standing still, its head lowered, eyes soft. The woman wasn't using a whip or any forceful tools. She simply stood quietly next to the horse, occasionally brushing its coat. The horse, too, seemed to trust her, moving closer as if asking for more attention. It was a silent exchange, but one full of meaning. Zorath continued to present the evidence, each video showing a different human-animal interaction. There were videos of people feeding stray animals, caring for sick creatures, and even helping injured birds to fly again. In every case, the animals responded not to commands, but to the kindness and patience shown by the humans. As the last video ended, Zorath turned back to her team. "This is the proof," she said, her voice full of conviction. "The humans are not just communicating with animals through sounds or actions. They are sharing a bond based on mutual trust and respect. This connection goes beyond any language we've ever studied. It's a language of emotion, one that transcends words." The room was silent for a long moment. Zorath could see the skepticism in some of their eyes beginning to fade. Her team had come to Earth expecting to find answers in data and technology, but what they had discovered was something far more complex and beautiful. It was a lesson that was hard to accept. Humans had a way of connecting with the world around them that was different from anything the aliens knew. Finally, Torma, one of the team members, spoke. "I never thought I would say this, but I think you're right, Zorath. We've seen the proof. The humans aren't just using technology or tools to communicate with animals. They are using something much more powerful, something we can't measure with our devices." Zorath smiled. She had known all along that the evidence would speak for itself. It wasn't about proving humans were better or more advanced. It was about understanding that they communicated in a way that was completely different from the aliens. And this new understanding had the power to change everything. As the team began to discuss the implications of their findings, Zorath felt a sense of pride. They had discovered something truly unique on Earth. It wasn't just the technology that made humans stand out. It was their ability to connect with animals, to communicate in a way that transcended language. This was the real discovery, and Zorath knew it would take time for her people to fully comprehend it. But she was certain that this new understanding would shape the future of their interactions with Earth and its inhabitants. Zorath felt a mix of nervousness and excitement as she prepared to present the final findings to the Council. The aliens had watched and studied the humans for weeks, and the discovery was beyond anything they had imagined. It wasn't just the technology or the weapons that made humanity so unique. It was something much deeper, a way of communicating with animals that was not only unheard of in their species, but also difficult for the Council to fully understand. The council chambers were grand and intimidating, with high ceilings and walls made of shimmering metal. The air was filled with a quiet hum of energy, and the council members sat in their elevated seats, their eyes fixed on Zorath as she stepped forward to make her presentation. She had come to Earth as a scientist, expecting to learn more about human technology and culture, but now she found herself presenting a discovery that could change everything the Council knew about communication and life itself. Zorath started by recounting her team's observations, explaining how they had spent days watching humans interact with animals. She had already shared this with her team, but now it was time to show the Council the evidence. The room was silent as Zorath activated the holographic screen. The first images appeared, humans gently petting dogs, speaking to them with calm, soft voices. The animals responded by leaning into the touch, their eyes filled with trust. Zorath paused for a moment, allowing the council to absorb the images. We saw this everywhere, she continued. It wasn't just dogs. Humans connect with animals in ways we cannot explain. They don't dominate them or control them with commands. They communicate with them on a level we didn't understand, one based on respect, not force. As the images shifted to show more examples, humans helping injured birds, feeding stray cats, comforting injured wildlife, the room grew even quieter. The council had seen many things in their time, but this was different. What Zorath was showing them wasn't about superior technology or advanced weaponry. It was about something much simpler, yet far more profound. It was about connection. Zorath explained how the animals, unlike the aliens who relied on tools and technology to communicate, responded to humans not with fear or resistance, but with trust. She spoke about how the humans' calm energy and patience allowed them to form bonds with animals, bonds that were far deeper than simple interactions. This connection, Zorath said, is a language, but not one that we understand. It's a language of emotion, of respect, and of mutual trust. Humans speak to animals not with words, but with their hearts. They don't just control them, they communicate with them on a deeper level. For the first time, a murmur of surprise spread through the council. Some members looked at each other, exchanging uncertain glances. They had come to this mission thinking they were here to study a primitive species, one they could easily conquer. But what they had discovered was far from what they expected. The humans weren't primitive at all. They had a way of communicating that went beyond their technology, and it was based on something far more important: empathy. One of the older council members, Zaros, spoke up. His voice was slow but thoughtful. Are you saying that humans are able to communicate with animals without using any technology? Without relying on force? Zorath nodded. Yes, they don't need tools or devices to connect. They rely on something we haven't fully understood until now, a deeper connection to life itself. The council members exchanged looks of disbelief. This wasn't something they had expected. They had believed that the only true form of communication came from logic, signals, and advanced technology. But what Zorath was presenting challenged that belief. It forced them to reconsider their view of humanity. Their strength, Zorath continued, is not in their machines nor in their weapons. It's in their ability to connect, to understand the needs of another living being, and to form relationships based on trust. This is something that could change the way we look at all species, including ourselves. Another council member, Jernak, leaned forward. But how does this affect our mission? Are you suggesting we change our approach to the humans? Zorath took a deep breath. She had thought long and hard about this. Yes, she said. The way humans connect with animals shows us that they are not the threat we once believed. Their power lies not in their ability to conquer, but in their ability to coexist. We need to rethink our approach. If we want to understand Earth and its people, we need to start respecting them, not controlling them. For a long time, the council remained silent, processing the information. This was a turning point, one that could change everything. The mission had been intended to assess humanity's weaknesses, but now the council realized that humanity's strength was in their ability to build connections. Connections based on mutual respect, understanding, and compassion. Finally, the leader of the council, Vornak, spoke. Zorath, your discovery has opened our eyes. We came here thinking we could control the humans, but it seems we have underestimated them. We need to learn from them, not conquer them. The room was still, but for the first time since they arrived, the council members seemed to truly consider the possibility of a peaceful relationship with humanity. The discovery Zorath had made wasn't just about humans communicating with animals. It was about the possibility of communication on a deeper level, one that could reshape the way the aliens interacted with every species, not just humans. As the meeting ended, Zorath left the chamber feeling a sense of accomplishment. She had changed the course of history. The council had learned to see humanity not as a threat, but as a species to be respected. And in doing so, she had opened the door to a new chapter of interspecies understanding and cooperation.